Hi everyone, welcome back to the fifth episode of Agency Cast. Today I'm joined by Sam, owner of Potent Positioning. If you just want to give yourself a quick intro, Sam.
Sure, nice one, mate. So I'm Sam, owner of Potent Positioning, a brand consultancy focused on B2B service-based industries. I've recently exited Bold, where I was managing director, which was a more brand or website-focused agency, specifically in the recruitment sector.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of things to do with B2B offers and how people can actually go and scale their offers. And the first thing that we want to talk about is ICP analysis and why having an ICP and establish one early is really important for being able to create an offer and then go and scale it to whatever market you want to go down. So do you maybe want to structure this conversation where you sort of, say your standpoint on it, and then I will come in, add my sort of views on video as well, and why I think an ICP is important for a video agency.
Absolutely, mate. I think, not just for an agency, but for any business, I think knowing exactly who your target audience is crucial. We've always talked about target audience, and now that lovely phrase ICP, that ideal customer persona, crops up all the time. But in essence, it's really simple as far as I see it. And I think people can overcomplicate it massively. It's understanding, well, exactly what kind of person am I selling to? And I think broadly people put that in terms of job title or maybe geography, industry, things like that. But for me, when we're looking at this, I should think you're probably the same with your clients. It's getting far more granular than that. It's understanding, well, what type of person, what traits, what characteristics are we looking for? Is there a certain trigger within the business that means that something's coming? If they're hiring a new marketing manager, for example, the chances are that in the next couple of months, they may be looking at brand or website, things like that. Yeah. So getting a little bit smarter with exactly who those ICPs are, because again, I'm not going to dive straight into psychology straight away, my nerdiness about neuroscience. But if we don't understand exactly who we're trying to talk to and understand them as people, how can we in any way create something that's going to align and resonate and talk to them? So for me, we can have the best brand, the best offer, the best service, best product, whatever it might be. If we don't know who we're selling it to, it's always going to be a bit of a struggle to actually sell it to them. And also you'll probably find that the language you're using speaks a bit to them, but you also try and encompass everybody that's not your target market, and you end up not really speaking to anybody. And that's typically why I think just starting with the basics of knowing who are you doing, what you're doing for, is really a way to start.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that ties into market mapping as well. So whenever for us with video, whenever we onboard a new video agency, the first 14 to 20 days, like I said, of our service is just focused on building out that ICP and market mapping. And what I mean by that is, firstly, we need to be looking at what this market that our client wants to focus on. We need to be looking at why they actually need video, because with the service that we provide, outbound marketing, we need to first analyze what is the actual problem that this industry has that a video solution is going to be able to solve. And a big thing for us, and I don't know about what you sort of, what your thoughts are on this in your industry, but we put a lot of effort into understanding the leadership teams within the companies that we're actually trying to target. Because, for example, for us, say if an agency comes to us who deliver training videos, for example, a lot of the time what we see is that these founders, they'll come to us and go, oh, I've been trying to target the founder, the CEO for so long, but it's not worked. And that's because there's a role within that company that's much better suited, that will be the better option to actually get that outbound message to. Chances are it will get fed back to someone higher in leadership, right? Like the founder or the CEO. But I think with establishing an ICP, it's also about, is there a better account that you can actually target with your offer that would allow you to have a deeper lasting impact, resonate more with that company and actually get your service through the door. So that's a big one for us. And I don't know what your thoughts are on it in your industry, but it's massive thing to consider when we're looking at it.
Yeah, I think you raised two interesting points there. We'll get onto the problems that we need to focus on for creating offers in a second, because that's probably a whole pod episode in itself. Yeah. But I think, in terms of identifying the right person, it's crucial. And I think a lot of it comes down to not just looking at the person, but that broader ICP analysis. So what's the size of company you're going for? If you're going for a company that's got up to 10 people, you're probably right going off the owner, the founder, CEO, whoever it is that's in that position, because you're likely to have direct access to them. Once you start getting, probably I'd say, typically I've found in my experience, founder-led businesses tend to wean down a little bit after 50, 60 heads, something like that. The founder or the owner tends to be a little bit further removed. At that stage, as you say, you've probably got a board or a leadership team. It's understanding who's right in that area. Sometimes, for example, the head of marketing is the right person when you're looking for me to talk about things like brand, and websites and marketing. Sometimes actually it's the ops director or the head of ops, and they're the ones that actually focus on a lot of this side of things. Sometimes it's actually the finance guy, weirdly, which I found. But when you get to that level of business, exactly, they are the purse strings, right? When you get to that level of business, as you say, it's identifying, okay, the ICP is not just what company we're looking for, it's what person within that company. And often you might find, well, you've got perfect company, but if you haven't got that in, then it's not the perfect company because they're not right for it. You might have an ideal person that really likes you, really wants to buy from you, gets on well with you, but if they're not in the right company that's got the right budget or is in the right place or has got the right need, we come onto these problems, you're never going to sell to them. And I think that's probably the real telling point you touched on there, is so many particularly service-based industries don't have a compelling offer. If we went into Mackey's or Apple or something like that, we're pretty sure what they're wanting us to buy, and we're pretty sure how we can buy it very easily. They make that whole experience very simple to buy something from them, right? B2C, I've got that nailed. I think in B2B, that's something that needs a lot more work. The amount of times a service-based industry, be that recruitment, a video agency, a brand agency, whatever it might be, goes to market and their ICPs can't just say, oh yeah, I'll have that one, please, and sort of put it in the basket and buy it. I think that's what's missing from B2B. And a lot of the time, the reason is, as you said, we don't create services a lot of the time that are based on problems. And that's what everyone should be doing. Understand their ICP, what are their core challenges, what are their problems, their pain points, their frustrations. What's our solution that can very easily be purchased? It's easy to buy, that's going to solve all those problems. Back it up with social proof, and they're into kind of 101 of building a service. But everything you said there about it's got to be reverse engineered around ICP problems, and it's got to be a solution that what we always bang on about is easy to buy, easy to sell, easy to deliver. So something that ICPs can easily go, okay, we've got 3 options there. Again, psychologically, we love choice. If you go into the cinema, you always get the medium popcorn. Large seems ridiculous. Small is just never going to happen. Medium tends to be where you're going to go. Lo and behold, that's where they make their biggest markups. So if we have options as humans, we like having options. It's good to have choice. If we've got 3 lovely solutions that all tackle a problem that's easy for someone to buy, it's also replicable. We can easily sell that. So it's easy to sell if it's the same package. And guess what? It's easy to deliver as well, because you have the same people delivering the same roles within that package. Might be one person, might be a team of 10, depends on what you're selling. I think that's where we get to in terms of creating offers. It's making sure we've got a compelling offer that's reverse engineered around a clear problem with our ICPs. It's well researched from your market map end that you know is a problem, you know is a pain point. If you can present an easy to buy solution to that, kind of done half yourself for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's a couple of things that I definitely want to talk to you more about, because I know that you have a lot of knowledge on these 2 subjects, and that is a little bit more about that sales psychology, so how that works, but then also your thoughts on branding as well. Because I know for me, the way that I'm trying to brand our service is that we put a lot of focus on our niche, because obviously I'm yet to find a marketing agency that provides the service that we do for the target companies that we work with. So a big thing for us with that was that we wanted to just pick one niche. We wanted to go all in on it and create a whole brand around providing an outbound marketing solution for video agencies. Our North Star, if you like, is that we're just here to generate as many qualified projects. So that's another thing as well. We put a lot of emphasis on qualified, because we know that there's a lot of tire kickers in this market. It's a very high ticket industry. It's a high ticket solution, and we focus on just getting our clients the A star of deals that they want to get. So we've branded ourselves around that. It's like our North Star is we will just come in, position ourselves as this remote marketing and sales entity, and we're just here to generate projects on a commission basis, right, for our video agency clients. So I'd be interested to just hear a couple more of your thoughts on the importance of branding, but not necessarily just the specifics of branding. So particularly on what I just talked about, why you think a niche is important, and specifying down to just a singular market.
Sure. So I think, first of all, your point there on sales psychology, again, a whole episode we could probably dive into there. But a few basic things for me where people often go wrong is launching in for the sales straight away. Now, I love an analogy. Sometimes they are bob on, sometimes they are shocking. So apologies in advance, no idea where we're going to go with this one. But I always think if you're looking at outbound, kind of trying to get yourself out there, trying to appeal to prospects, essentially trying to appear attractive to people that you want to appeal, right? It's the same in the dating world. Thankfully, I've got 2 kids that have been off the market for the best part of a decade. I'm glad, because I kind of missed that Tinder boat, which I would not have been great at. But the point being, again, that when you're trying to go out and you're trying to reach people, if you went straight out on Tinder or whatever messaging app you're on, and it's, hey, do you want to go out on a date? Let's go to Nando's on Friday, or whatever it might be. You've gone straight in there. Most people aren't going to respond well to that, particularly not, if you look like this and you're not Brad Pitt or whoever's, attractive these days, Harry Styles probably, whoever that person is, you're probably not going to get that date straight away. But in the business world, we go straight in with, hey, you don't know me. Shall we jump on a call? Shall we talk about my solution?
Yep.
Straight away. So I think from a sales psychology perspective, just take a step back, put yourself in the position of a buyer. Would you want to be launched straight into a proposition of jumping on and giving up your time straight away? Probably not. So I always look from a sales psychology at those 3 kind of basics. First of all, we need to get people's attention. We need to get people to know us. That's the first port of call. Once we've got that, we need to create an offer to get people's time. Once we've got people's time, whether that's on a call or an audit, health check, whatever it may be, that's when we deliver a load of knowledge, load of value, get their trust. People now know us, they like us, we've got their attention, got their time. Now we need to get their money. So now we need a core offer, like we talked about, that is a solution that is going to be able to get the money. Once people like us, once people trust us and people know us, that side of it's really simple. I think in branding, that's what we try to do as much of as possible before people jump onto a call. So in terms of your question around niching down, yeah, we want to try and qualify as many people out, which might sound backwards, but during the sales process, we want to, as you all know from speaking to your clients, you only want to attract those right people, those perfect ICPs. And the best way to do that, again, from a sales psychology, is to offer people an out at every opportunity. So if you're having a sales conversation or you're in the sales process and you're not getting the vibe that people are interested, give them the out, whether that's offering them, say, well, potentially, actually, I think you may be looking at X competitor. There's maybe a better fit from you, or asking them, is this something that you're actually interested in? Do you want to carry on the conversation? Because most people will not want to have that confrontational, do you know what, Sam, I just don't think this is right for me. And they'll kind of let that go. So I think from that perspective, it's qualifying people out, and your brand should be doing that. So in an ideal world, your brand should be, whether that's your marketing, you on the phone, your personal brand on LinkedIn, your employer brand if you're looking to hire, your website, whatever it might be, it should be there so that it's weeding people out through that sales process. So by the time someone jumps on a call with you, you know that they've seen what you do, seen who you are, qualified themselves in the sense that they recognise they're part of your ICP. They've got a problem that you've clearly got a solution for, and they want to hear about your solution. Once you're at that point, your brand is your best salesperson. It's doing most of your sales for you. You're just jumping on and being that lovely person that's closing the deals, essentially. The terrible analogy coming up, I can feel this is a bad one. I always think your brand should be like your Kevin De Bruyne. Now, he's obviously got 4 assists last night, I think, against Luton. So it's the recency bias top of my head there, but that's what we should be aiming for. We should be aiming for your brand to be able to just be teeing up sales for your salespeople with qualified ICPs that are ready to learn about your solution, rather than starting that whole process with people that don't really know what you do from the outset. It's a waste of everyone's time, right?
Yeah. That is a very good analogy, because Haaland wouldn't be as good as he is if he didn't have KDB making it Christmas for him every day. You know what I mean? So that analogy is perfect, man. And I think, for us, first off, it's interesting that you say all that, because this is something that we have thought about a lot with our outbound offer as well. Because I completely agree, and this is what happens when prospects come to me, and because we actually do get a lot of inbound interest, and this just emphasizes what you're talking about as well. And it's because people have done this outbound marketing before, but they've done it exactly how you just described it. They've gone out, they've just scraped a list of people, and it's just been bam, 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 bam. It's like exactly like you compared it to the dating world. You're trying to ask for a date before you even know the person, you know what I mean? And this is what these people are doing. So how we go about solving that in our offer is, and I've been doing a lot of like accidental self promo in this, but it's just so I can give context to what I'm saying.
Go for it, launch in.
It's like our offer combines a lot of this inbound optimization as well, because we know that people who are just receiving an email, and obviously it ties into the sequence that you're actually sending, but you need the things behind you, right, to do exactly what you just described, like assist the sales team. You need the assets behind you to prove that you have a solution to what their problem is going to be. And in our offer, that's what we actually help to facilitate as well. So not only are we just sending out email messages, but we put a great emphasis on making sure that our clients' inbound presence is up to scratch, that it's ready to back up this outbound message that we're saying. So that's with case studies, social proof. That's with any sort of lead magnets as well. You know, anything that could assist with that outbound message to make it hit better. And this, again, it ties into the ICP again, because what we like to call it is we're going after a champion. So we're niching our list down to something as small as, you know, 3,000 to 4,000 we've had before. But this list of people is just, they're so specific and they meet a particular criteria so well that the sales copy that we can put out it's going to hit with them, but we don't have to over personalize it to the individual account. I think this is something that I'd be interested to get your thoughts on. And it's that in our team, we sort of found that there's a confusion between personalization and just relevancy in a really good offer. Because I looked at, like, so I always encourage people to do this. I go to them and I say, right, look through the last 3 emails that you got. Look through the last 3 emails that you got that you were actually interested in. Did they say, like, oh, you know, every single little personalization that they could possibly throw in? They probably didn't. The offer was just probably really relevant and it was at a good time. Like, it's more to do with the relevancy and the like good timing of the offer that you're actually putting out. And that's something that we like to encourage. It's like, don't worry about over personalizing emails just yet. Focus first on building a really specific list that an offer is going to hit really well with. Focus on building that offer out and making what you're sending really relevant first. And then if you want to test throwing some extra personalization in, then you can throw that in there. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that as obviously a consultancy, because that's just what we found. Like, people often come to us trying to personalize their emails, but their offer's crap. So it's you can't polish shit. You know what I mean? It's like you need the relevant offer behind it before you even try adding some personalization in my opinion.
Totally agree. I think, just to take on that analogy, you can polish it, and a lot of people try and they just end up with very mucky hands and they don't really get anything good at the end of it. And that's what we're seeing people do a lot at the moment. So taking your point there, before we get onto personalization around all the outbound activity, you've got lovely automated campaigns, a load of great AI tools that you can use on LinkedIn with some really clever cadences, some really smart sequences, again, using biopsychology. So, for example, if you view someone's profile and then like their post the day before you connect with them, chances are you're more likely to get that connection. Simple reason being that when somebody likes your post, there's a little dopamine hit that you get. You associate that person with a little nice feeling. If it's someone you don't know, that feeling's even more heightened because you get that sense of, oh, everybody's looking at me. People I don't even know are liking what I've got to say, what I've got to say. So you like someone's post that you've never spoken to before, and the next day you connect with you, boss, you're way more likely to get that in with them. So it's being smart with what you're doing with your automation rather than, as you say, just chucking stuff out there. So again, everything comes back to understanding your ICPs. You can get so much more specific with your language then, talking about specific challenges to their industry. Now, in a business, you might have 5 different ICPs. There might be 5 different departments or areas or industries you're going after, but again, get specific with each rather than just having one generic message that's going out, which isn't really striking a chord with any of them. This is where we kind of get onto your personalization. And you'd probably see me chuckling throughout that, because I think personalization was 5 years ago, give or take, fairly new in the sense of people doing rudimentary stuff. First name, maybe popping in like the company you've worked for, maybe your title, things like that. We've gone the other way now, where it's like, I don't want people to tell me, I don't know, what I had for breakfast 3 years ago, or that they liked to post from 2 years ago when I was wearing X jumper. Like, that's just creepy. I think for me, it gets onto like that stalking level. No one has ever bought because you complimented them on a post from 4 years ago, right? You're absolutely right. People buy because they've got a problem and you've presented a solution to them, which at that time is a solution that they need, backed up with everything that demonstrates that you can deliver on that solution, i.e. social proof, testimonials, case studies, evidence of people that were in a very similar position to the prospect you're speaking to, who had a very similar problem, who don't have that problem anymore because they engage with you and your solution solved it for them. That's really what we should be doing and what we should be sharing. People are much more likely to buy from you if you've presented them with an example of where someone in a similar position that they can resonate with has had a similar problem that's now resolved, rather than you trying to approach them with, hey, look, here's a salary guide that I wrote that you might be interested in, Mr. Recruiter, Mrs. Recruiter, please may I have 50 minutes of your time to say some video solutions. It's never going to work. So I think, again, people that I've ever worked with get sick to death of me saying reverse engineered, but everything's got to be reverse engineered around your ICPs.
Yeah, I have a couple of things to mention on that as well. So interesting what you were just saying there, because I think as well, personalization is now quite risky. And what I mean by that is, like, I had a message the other day where it was like, oh, would you be interested in getting some more clients like X? And then they actually went and like found the client that we've worked with and then tagged them in it. But then I was like, well, that was one of our old clients from the business that we used to have in music. I was like, well, I don't want any clients like that anymore. It's like, that's what I mean by, I think personalization is quite risky. It's like or at least over personalization, right? Because if you try and get too involved in someone that you don't really knows, life, I guess, or like just business life, then you run the risk of saying something that's just not really relevant. It's just a bit weird. Exactly like you just said. That's a practical example from my
sorry, I don't know if you're frozen there. I don't mean to speak over if you have been. But I just find, for me, with the personalization thing there, that it's just like you say, gone too far, and to the extent now, like I got one last week that mentioned about my master's in psychology. So which is on my LinkedIn profile. So they've obviously just picked up, I think it's on my little about section or whatever. They've obviously seen it from there. Now, that's probably the level. Anything, I saw that and I thought, at least you've had a look. You clearly had a check. It's not just a kind of AI tool that scrapes whatever kind of information you can get, because it's something you've obviously looked at. There's been a bit of human work gone into that. I thought that was all right. Anything more than that, and suddenly I think, well, number one, just from a base level, if as a company you're spending that much time on every kind of prospecting message or email or whatever it might be, doing that much research to find something so specific, that tells me that you must be quite struggling for leads if you're having to get that specific to try and generate some. And secondly, if that's how granular you go with that and how much kind of time you're wasting in terms of ROI, what you're getting back from that, probably not a company I want to work with, because your wider processes and your other kind of offerings as a business probably follow a similar kind of rule of thumb, which is doing things in too much detail, overcomplicating and not returning an ROI. I just realised you can see my lovely painted nail here on this podcast as well. That's courtesy of my daughter. She was having all of hers done at the weekend. I got away with just a little finger, but there we go.
Top stuff, man. My sort of approach on that is, just to add to it, I'd say from our side, we just like to take opportunities. Like, we don't like over personalized campaigns, but what we do is we take opportunities. And what I mean by that is, let's say I don't know, say take LinkedIn, for example. If somebody's viewing our profile, if we're liking each other's posts, if it's, if there's a clear like engagement there, or if sometimes we've even had people comment on our posts, what I'll do is, if there's clear interest there, what I will often do is craft something more personal to them, because I know that they actually engage with me and come on that. But I completely agree with you on the other side, where it's like, if you're doing that for somebody you don't really know and who's not really warm, then again, your point's 100% valid. It's like, it's just random.
100%.
It's just,
But if someone's raised their hand in any way, whether that's commenting on a post, I'd argue reaching out and connecting with you, to be fair, it's also with a similar ilk there. If anyone's responded to it, any kind of marketing email, if they've downloaded one of your lead magnets, anything like that, I think that they're suddenly in a separate list then. You've got your various, you're not better than anybody, various marketing lists there. Anybody that's raised their hand or shown any kind of interest, suddenly they get a slightly different approach. They do get a slightly more personal approach, particularly if it is over LinkedIn and it's a bit more informal anyway, and you're just kind of building relationships that way. But yeah, I think just for pure cold outreach, you just need to focus on identifying what those problems are that people can resonate with, kind of antagonize that a little bit and kind of hint at a solution to try and get them to come and check out your solution. And hopefully what they see is a really nice, neat, easy to buy solution and offer that they can get in touch with. And as we've said right at the top of this pod, that's you kind of hard work done. Yeah. People are not just inbound leads, but inbound leads that are qualified inbound leads that have already qualified themselves in. It's like one of the things that I'm working on is building what we call 24/7 sales letters, 24/7 sales reps, something like that. But let's say you take even a podcast format, something like this. Let's say if I said to you, right, can you ask me these 6 questions? And it's just going to be essentially an opportunity for me to sell my business if we created something like that. And then using that video, on your website, on your marketing collateral for people to qualify themselves in again. So on that video, I might ask you to say, hey, ask me who's not a good customer for Potent. And I'll give you a great answer on that. So people can then use that as a way to qualify themselves out. So you'll know better than anybody about video, but we'll get on to that in a second. For me, where people are going wrong at the moment with marketing, or the big mistake people are making that I'm seeing, is doing so much marketing. Some of it really clever, really savvy stuff, some of it not so much, but ultimately a load of volume of marketing, but without taking a step back first and realizing that their brand isn't resonating with their ICPs, or they don't know it, don't know who their ICPs are, don't know who they stand for, don't know what they offer, and don't have that clear offer. If they don't have any of that brand work done that's going to resonate with your ICPs, there's no point doing all the marketing activities. It's just a waste of money. You're never going to get that clear ROI. You're going to have to do so much more to get people on board. And even when you do, people are going to be onboarded that maybe don't think they're right for you in the first place because they've not resonated with your brand. They can't clearly articulate what you offer and who you offer it for. Then obviously you get to that point once you've got your brand sorted, all the lovely marketing output. And I think, as you're obviously championing, video is clearly the next kind of big wave that needs to happen with marketing. And I think companies that certainly don't invest over the next 12 months in some form of video content, whether that is podcasts, whether that is doing some just to the camera video content, whether that is creating kind of talks and webinars and series and things like that. I think we'll probably see them left behind. What are your thoughts on that? I'm guessing pretty similar.
Yeah, so I actually have thoughts on that for both our clients, but also us as well. So I think an issue with sort of service-based businesses, so I'll give it some practical application. So for us, I was really interested in what you were saying there, because what we do in our sales process is we have like a high-level overview in video format. It's like a VSL. Essentially what it is our thesis. And what we do is we're explaining what our service does, the North Star of what we're trying to do, give people a high-level overview of what our service is and why we're delivering it. What I do as well is I'll then chuck in like a bit of free value. So it's usually in the form of like a guide for how to do outbound marketing with, for your video agency. That's the current one that we're running right now. And then we'll, maybe add some like free leads to that as well to just give them some extra free value. But that's something that we use video for. And a big thing for us is that we're trying to serve a video market, right? So we want to speak to them how they want to be spoken to. And these people are creative. So what I do is I use like a presentation software like Pitch or Gamma or something like that, whatever option you want to choose out of there. And I don't know if you know it, but OBS Studio is great for just recording YouTube videos, recording video, like professional looking explainer videos where you can just record yourself, easily swap to a screen. It looks really, really great. And we use that to record VSLs and high-level overviews to send to our clients. The way that we position it is pre-discovery. So what I like to do is, I'll just tell you what my sales process. So discovery gets booked. What I then do is send like a 1-minute Loom video just like a nice personal introduction to myself, who I am. Then what I'll do in that video is I'll say, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm about to send you across a video that goes over our sales process from start to finish. Appreciate if you give it, obviously I won't say that, but basically get them to give it a watch right before the discovery call, so that then when we jump on, it's focused. It's like we can get the information that we need, we can move forward. It's professional, it's respectful of their time. And plus, as well, it also acts as an opportunity to actually qualify and disqualify people who maybe thought that the product was something else, or anything like that. So I'd encourage the use of video for service-based businesses as well. If it's something that you can add into your sales cycle to support that, I think that's a really cool thing to do. So I'll leave my opinion on why video is important for like the kinds of video that our clients do, just for another I'll bring it up in a sec, but I'd first be interested to just hear your thoughts on that. Is there like for digital businesses, because I imagine like you will have quite a few people in your network, I know I do in mine, for service-based B2B businesses, where do you think video in that sense, like VSLs and high-level overviews, are really important in that sales and marketing funnel?
Yeah, I think broken record time. I think it comes back to your ICPs. So, for example, if your ICP is 50-something-year-old construction worker who works in a factory, for example, the chances of them being on LinkedIn to see some video content and be turned to there is probably fairly slim. So
Yeah.
finding another way to get video in there, for example, like a Loom video, I think Loom is fantastic. What great other tools are available, obviously, but a great simple tool to just be able to very quickly record a one-on-one video. I think for me, the main benefit within B2B is, we touched on it earlier, but within B2C, we talk about emotional outcomes all the time, right? Take that Big Mac from McDonald's. Most of the time, people aren't buying it because they feel like a burger. They usually feel like change an emotional state. Maybe it's end of a day on a Monday, it's raining, you're on the way to the train home, it's a bit grey, and you want to have that feeling of comfort or feeling a bit more relaxed, maybe that nostalgic time from when you were younger and all the rest of it. That's why you get a Big Mac, it's that emotional outcome. I think what we don't do well in B2B in general is playing on emotional outcomes, talking about the emotional changes of state that generally that's taking someone from, I don't know, whether it's from kind of an anxious or worried state, a stress state, into one of calm, one of relaxed.
Yeah.
What we can easily do through video is display that personality. Obviously, a lot of what I talk about and what we do at Potent is infusing personality and traits and characteristics, from colors, tone of colors, through to like the curvature of the font, everything in between, tone of voice, language, the actual word we're using, all the rest of it. But what better way to do it than actually get it across yourself, particularly as a founder-led business, when you're the one that is kind of setting the standard for how the rest of the company kind of operates. Mm-hmm. If you can get that out there, it kind of sets the stall out. So I think within that whole B2B marketing sphere, the main benefit for video content, however you're getting out that, whether that's a YouTube channel, whether that is Loom videos sent directly by email, whether that's a series, a podcast series on LinkedIn, whatever it might be, the main benefit for me is you're able to jazz up a service and make it come across more than just some bullet points of what you get from it, and also demonstrate how you're going to deliver it. Like you said there, within your sales at 1 minute, people are very, very quickly going to understand, well, I like the way that person comes across, or I don't. Now, I don't hold back if I swear, for example. So if I send a sales letter and a fuck comes out, I'm not too fussed. If some people don't like that, great, because that puts them off, and they're not going to waste their money or time engaging with me ultimately just to be let down at a later point. So things like that is where I think it is really valuable to get video across, because you can get a much more authentic, genuine, organic version of yourself than when you're writing. When you write for an email, people typically posh it up a little bit and put all the kind of commercial language in. Sometimes that drips onto LinkedIn, but generally we don't speak, so we don't type or write how we speak. And I think that's the main benefit of video, is getting that across to your ICPs, rather than trying to, obviously this is where, my job, what I do, trying to get it into a brand, but what we can do is always go one step further and have what that brand encapsulates coming through as a person with a face.
Yeah, I completely agree. For our clients then, so there's two main types of video that we're seeing in the market right now. It's like the point that I mentioned earlier with social first video. A lot of companies, particularly tech, looking at ways to create a more comprehensive social presence for themselves through using social first video on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. But we don't really deal with that side of the market as much. The main reason for us with niching down to just video production businesses, right, is that with AI, with everything going on with AI now, what we've established, and this is something we talk with our clients about as well, the entry to create a decent bit of content now, it's so easy to do. Like, you can just go and whip something with AI and put it out, and you might get decent results. But the businesses who want to keep that authenticity and tell a story about themselves, they need a professional creator. And that's what we've sort of tapped into. And that thesis is why we do what we do, because what we're looking to do is, it's a really niche offer, but we're essentially being the vehicle between these video agencies that can deliver what those companies want. We're being the vehicle for actually connecting these two together with their target companies. So it's a very specific offer, and you can sort of see how specific our targeting is. Like, we're working with video agencies, with businesses who have a founder who is very passionate at telling brand stories and can do it really well. They have they have case studies of taking a brand, often some very big brands, and putting out a video, whether it's through TV, broadcast or just commercial or on social as well, and communicating that to an audience in a way which, exactly like you said, creates that emotional connection with them. That's the important part with what they're doing here, right? So, you know, we work with various businesses, man. It's like, I think with video, there's so many ways to do that. You can tell a story through an animated explainer. Obviously, the higher the budget goes, the more that goes into a video. But there's so many different types of video that are a lot better at telling a story than what an AI generated piece of content can do. And that's what we're tapping into. That's what DMS is the vehicle for. It's about connecting these video agencies that can deliver that service to businesses who want to tell a story through video and who don't just want to put out AI content. They want to be able to remain authentic, you know. So that's my take on video, and that's why because a bit about us, like, we used to work in a load of different industries. Like, we could have just kept doing that, but this opportunity is so, we believe in it so much. Like, this is the thing, like, we generally believe that in our thesis behind it, like, we believe in it that much that we just focused all in on video, and we want to just be the agency to provide this vehicle to take, you know, like I said, take a video agency and connect them with the buyers who want what they have, because we know that there's businesses out there, as our social proof suggests, that need video that's produced by a professional creator. So yeah, that's my take on video in, you know, as a more general standpoint. But I think combining my thoughts there on both, you know, like B2B digital space as well, like what I do, what you do, and with more production focused video for like huge corporate companies, the main sort of thesis is still there. It's about how can you connect better with an audience, right, through using video content. And I think that's really interesting how you can do that with just a 1 minute Loom video. Like, honestly, the difference that made when we got onto a call with people are like, oh, hey Joe, how you doing, man? You know what I mean? Because they already know who I am. Like, I've already spoken to them one-on-one. They feel comfortable around it. You know what I mean?
That's personalization.
Yeah,
that's what good personalization is when people actually have a more personal connection with you. Nailed on head. That's what personalization is. And dropping in where somebody graduated from 10 years ago into an email doesn't really have that same connection as seeing a smiley face saying, hi, all I'm doing is talking you through what the email says, but at least you've got a picture of who I am and you know who you're going to be speaking to next time you jump on the call or whatever. Conversely, one thing actually we did opposite was, in terms of qualifying people, I was taking video out in essence, in the sense that, when I say video, I mean like a video call. So typically post-COVID, you get a lead, it's straight on to like a Zoom call, Teams call, Google Meet, whatever it might be. When I was at my previous agency, and what I do at Potent now is I will always have a 15-minute phone call before we jump onto a video call, for the simple reason that, making the assumption that people haven't done that work and qualified themselves out. Let's have a 15-minute call on the phone, no pressure. We're not having to sit and, give people lip service or whatever. Just have a chat, find out if they are right, and if they have got a problem that you can help with. If great, cool, let's take it on to the next stage. But it's an extra touch point. In between that, you can send a video. But we found that actually diving straight onto calls like this sometimes made it harder when somebody who was never going to buy but really liked you or wanted to buy from you but didn't have budget or the time wasn't right or whatever it might be. But because you had that good relationship from a lovely Zoom call or a Teams call, whatever it might be, it made it hard when that no was much harder to get to, or much longer to get to. Whereas if it had just been a quick 15-minute call, ask a couple of qualifying questions, get an easy party ways and say, well, cool, not for us, glad we didn't waste any time putting our best kind of makeup and clothes on and having a Zoom call when we could have just qualified each other out early. So I think it's also with video, it comes down to timing. Again, we talked about cold outreach earlier. I think if you launch into cold outreach with a video of yourself, who knows, it might work. I don't know. For me, that's probably a little bit too personal too quickly before I've kind of given you any permission to sell to me or kind of invited you to sell to me at all. So I think with everything, it's not just as you all know better than anybody, a one size fits all when it comes to video. It's understanding, well, what channels are best, who's actually going to benefit from it, what kind of videos do we need to put out? Because take brand stories, for example. There's so many brand stories you can tell. You've got an employer brand story, an employee that's come in, that's started at the bottom, goes to the top, for example, or anything like that. Go at your actual brand story. So what are you what do you stand for as a business? Where did you come from to where you've been now? What kind of services do you offer? All that kind of jazz. And then you've got your custom story as well, which you can always tell a lovely video about, painting the problem, what they, antagonizing it with, what the knock-on effects were. They engaged with you as a solution, and then painting that picture of a new world and what that looks like now the solution's in place and the problem's resolved. There's so many stories, even just in brand story, that you could get in and tell. So it's, where your expertise comes in here, I'm guessing, is advising people with what the best stories to tell and how to get them out there. But for me, it's about timing as well, making sure that you're using video at the right times within the sales process to generate that trust and that likability.
Yeah, and we've actually worked with an agency that just does employee-led video. So it's really interesting that you do that. And there's so many different types of video agencies out there as well. And one more point that I had on what you were just saying there is that I've been contacted by people offering me like Loom outreach systems. And I was like, well, I've had these kind of messages before, and it's somebody who has just recorded a video where they just scroll up and down on my website, and then they just send, like, they use AI to like add my name somehow into like a pre-recorded message, and AI just automates the whole thing with just like, it scrolls up and down on my website, and I get these kind of messages. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? Like, what are you telling me? Like, cool, you can scroll on my website. And I think the point I'm getting at is, it's like, don't use video just because it's video. Like, don't just use it because it's a different approach. Like, you actually need to leverage video for why it works, and that's what we've just been discussing, to be able to connect with somebody on a more personal level. Like, I don't use it until I know that the interest is there.
Exactly.
Like, with the emails and with the personalized looms, I don't send them cold. I send them after I know somebody is actually keen on what I have to offer them,
Yeah, I think the middle ground there that I think works quite well often is a voice note. So I think take like a voice note on LinkedIn, for example. Everybody, when you connect with somebody, you can probably count a couple of days, and you're going to wait to either get a message, or you're the one sending a message, right? Typically, that's what's happening on LinkedIn. It's a networking site that once you connect with somebody, likelihood is one of you is going to be in some way going to try and reach out within the next week or so, right?
Yeah.
What I find a nice middle ground between launching into a "Hey, I'm Sam" kind of video straight away. It's just a nice voice note. So rather than just another boring kind of message on LinkedIn, just to I think you're limited to a minute or something on LinkedIn, but just like a 15-20 second, "Hi, I'm Sam, this is what I do. Thanks for connecting," and just leave it at that. So I think that there's, as you say there, it's finding that middle ground between being creepy personalization and just having a closer connection, a warmer connection, a personal connection through the sales process. And I think when you do that, even if you don't get the sale, you've got the connection, which in my experience later down the line will often come back round into a sale if you've kept that good connection, that good relationship with them. Whereas if that has just been an automated, and don't get me wrong, we could launch into automation. AI has so many great use cases for it in so many areas, and I'm a big advocate in lots of areas. But if you just had that very bog standard automated kind of, you've not done any of the conversation, chances are they're not going to come back in 12 months and reach out to you if they have a need, or recommend you onto other people that they come across. So I think, when we go back to summarize, I guess what we've talked about, it's understanding your ideal customers, creating an offer that speaks to them, getting it across with personality that's not creepy, but in a way that enhances that connection sales process.
Yeah.
Creating something that's easy to buy, easy to sell, and easy to deliver. And ultimately, we all know in service-based industries, the service, clues in the title, you've got to be able to deliver a good service and an ongoing good relationship, so that it's not just a quick sell and then on to the next one. You're going to create a longer-term profitable business with repeat customers.
I completely agree, man. And I think just one last point I have to add on this that I'd be interested to get your thoughts on is just strategies for actually keeping these people warm. So like, we handle that all the time. Like, we get people that come to us, they're really interested because we've used a lot of video in how we're, selling to them in essence, or how we're talking to them. We do build that personal connection with these people. Like, we often, stay in contact over email, even if they have no budget at all. But one of the main ones the main objections, I guess, that we get is, it's just not the right time right now for us. So what we do I'm going to say combat that, but what we do to solve that problem is just offer free value on like a term basis. So we have like a newsletter, or something like that. Like we get them, we say, oh, consider subbing to my YouTube. I put out videos on there all the time regarding how you can get more projects through outbound marketing for your video agency, stuff like that.
Yep.
So also like lead nurturing systems that can keep people warmed up to your business. I think it's just like an easy dub. Just do it. Like, just, somebody subscribes to your YouTube, or somebody subscribes to a newsletter where you just put out your expertise and your free value on what you can offer your industry. I think it's not a must, obviously, but it's wise to do it, because it's keeping them engaged with what you're doing, and especially if you're giving them like a high level overview to have as well, just for when they want to look back over it. I think if you can tick these touch points off, so that when you do have that next conversation with these people, like say for example yesterday I had a discovery with a guy literally like 2 days ago, on Friday, not 2 days ago, and he said, yeah, it sounds great, man, it's just not the time right now. I think we've got a lot of work coming up in May, so around May sort of time is where we'd want to be talking with you again to move forward with this. So instead of me just going, yeah, okay, see you in May, I'm going to say to him, hey man, here's some stuff that you can, I'll chuck you some free leads, see if you can have a go at, this is the system that we use, this is what we do. He's now subbed to my newsletter, he watches our video content, and he's keen to learn more about what we do as well. So it's like, I think the question I wanted to ask you is, what's your opinion on these sort of systems for keeping people warm, if there is a gap between like discovery and then, if there's an objection with them where it's just not the right time? What's your sort of thoughts on that?
You've covered everything, so a lot of the things in terms of what I would recommend. So consistent value-added content that they're receiving that's relevant. So I think it's making sure they're not just added to a mailing list and bombarded with stuff for 3 months before they're ready to buy. But I think, consistent value add. I think something that is probably underutilized is simple questions. So if you've got somebody out there, most people are now used to getting free value from people, right? Because that's what the savvy ones in the market have learned. Okay, I've got this prospect that isn't right, but in 6 months they might be. Every month or 6 weeks, I'll send them something of interest just to keep top of their mind. All the lovely stuff that goes with that. I think one underutilized tactic is just a simple question. So take that chap you mentioned the other day. In a week or two, hey mate, putting some content out that you would have seen. What kind of stuff would you be interested in? X or X? And giving them a multiple choice question, so that they don't have to think to answer it, but you engage in, and that's probably going to develop a conversation. So it might be, do you want to see it on videos, next video on Y? And if he comes back and say, oh, actually videos on Y would be really interesting, have you thought about Z? Suddenly you're then also getting more content that, again, identifying problems, identifying issues that you can speak to with your ICP is like straight from the horse's mouth. And it's a way of re-engaging with them without you actually having to do any of the work to produce the content. But by doing it, you're getting more insight into what you should be producing content around. So it's generating more and more conversations with people, but without in a way that's not trying to sell to them at all, not even like a wolf in sheep's clothing like value-added content is, right? It's purely just asking them some questions and generating conversations that way. And the other good thing about that is humans are intrinsically wired to help people. And what you're essentially doing there is asking for help. So hey, I'm after a bit of help here. These are the kind of bits of content I'm looking to write. People are way more likely to actually want to help you, even if it's just giving you an answer to your multiple choice question. If you've shown a bit of vulnerability and asked for some guidance or some help or some feedback, rather than just taking that kind of position as server to a client and, oh, please, would you like this free content? So I think it's balancing that act in terms of giving them plenty of free stuff, but also making sure that it's what they want to hear and engaging with them and having more conversations as opposed to just more touch points. And I think that's where a lot of companies maybe fall flat. Is it's just, well, we've got this marketing list of 400 people that responded in the last couple of months that have raised their hand, but it's not right for them now. They'll get these bit of content, then these bits of content, then this bit. Again, just very systemized and impersonal. And I'm not saying that you can have a personal plan for each of those 400, but if you just asked 400 people, would you rather see content on X, Y, or Z, and you got a load of conversations off the back of that, you've probably got at least probably 40, 50 just conversations to be had that will go to more than just an answer to that question. And who knows, you might well uncover some more problems, more solutions potentially to sell to them and negate that kind of time you're waiting for them to buy and bring that time down a bit. But other than that, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's consistently adding value and demonstrating that you're the only person that they should call once they have that need arise.
Yeah, I think that's just a psychological skill as well, being able to sort of silence what you want to put out, but actually understand what they want. It's like you might have an idea for what you think that they want, but if you can actually put something in place where you can go and ask them what they want to see, then I think that's great. It's a really solid thing to be able to do, because then you know that the content you're putting out is going to resonate with those kind of people.
Now, if you can get to a point, this is the ideal situation in a sales call where you're asking them to craft their perfect solution, and then you'll just say, well, yeah, that's kind of the solution that I've got for you. They're already primed into, well, that's what I want because I've come up with it. In the same way that if I do like a naming process with companies or go through a rebranding process, maybe 8 times out of 10, especially it kills my ego, it's the person themselves or the client themselves that has the idea for the name. We'll have tons of ideas and we'll spitball loads of ideas, but a lot of the time it's the idea that they've come up with that they'll land on going for. Again, boring psychologically, it makes sense. It's their idea. It might be influenced by all the other work we've done, but you tend to like your own ideas more than other people's. So it comes back to the same thing, that if you've presented them in a sales cycle and asked them to create their perfect solution, and then you're presenting that perfect solution to them, they're already, like I said, primed to be predispositioned to want to go ahead with that. So I think there's so much psychology, and we'll be on best part of an hour now. We have another hour just talking about psychology alone. But plenty of it that goes on in brand marketing and sales. That's why I love it so much.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if there's anybody watching this episode who wants to learn more about sales psychology, because it's something that I will make a habit out of practicing, like just learning habits to do with psychology in general. Like I did psychology at A level, but never really took it past that. But it interests me just as much as I'm sure it interests you. So I'm sure that conversation will be a great one today. But we do obviously have some work to do.
Oh, happily, yeah.
If anybody, like I said, if anybody's watching this, they want to hear that conversation, if they want us to have another conversation regarding sales psychology, then I think
absolutely.
And obviously, me and Sam have both introduced what we do. If anyone's got any questions for us, feel free. We can, hand over our contact details. Then just ask us any questions to do with our service, what we do. Yeah, Sam, is there anything else you wanted to mention? Because I think this has been a great episode.
No, it's been lovely chatting to you, pal. Just echoing what you said there. If anyone's got any questions about anything we discussed, even just surface level, want to ask anything, pick up brains, then I'm always open. Big believer in the more you give, the more you get. So if anybody wants to throw any questions around brand sales, marketing, psychology, football, I'm pretty good at my way, then let me know. If not, hopefully some people taking some value.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put our LinkedIn's in the description. Is that cool with you, Sam? So then that's
fine, mate. Crack on.
Yeah. Thank you very much for everybody who's watching this video, and we'll get that conversation on psychology. I'm sure it will be an interesting one.
Look forward to it, Joseph. Take care, mate.
Cheers. Bye.